So folks are dropping dead at their desks.
That's a damn shame.
folks are dropping dead at their desk. And we are still trying to hold on to that weekly, bi-weekly, monthly paycheck because we don't know another way, even though it's killing us. Is this the life that you want?
Not me.
No, seriously, like, is this the life that you want? And then the other question is like, because we've talked to too many people who are like, I'm just going to stick it out, right? Like, I'm just going to work another in 3 years and 4 years, or they'll say something like, in 2030, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, assuming that that will still be possible. Y'all, these are not normal times, and we should not have the same response that we have had in the past.
Right. My thing is, every time you say, well, in a couple more years, I got to give it a couple more years. Hey, these countries ain't waiting for you. Things are changing rapidly, day to day to day. So if you're going to make your moves, you need to be making your move.
Seriously. And we cannot let these jobs that ain't loyal keep us sucking on the corporate teat, the government teat, if you are a government employee, right? Like, because we have seen in the past 2 months that nothing is guaranteed, right? We already knew that as Black folks, right? As Africans from the diaspora, like, we already knew that. But if we were hoping for something different, I think we know now that that is not the case. That is definitely not the case. So we're going to talk about how we change our mindset from this mindset of lack, from this mindset that tells us that the best thing that we can do is to work these jobs, even though they are killing us. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the fierce urgency of now. And we're not going to stop talking about the fierce urgency of now as long as the melon felon is in office. Right?
Not at all.
Right?
Let us know if you can hear us too. I want to make sure because we were on a different platform before we came on here.
Yeah. I think we're fine. I think we're fine because Allison is responding.
Good.
Allison is responding. So, all right. So we're going to talk about that and a lot more. If you are a utopian, hey, welcome back. Welcome back. For those of you who are our members, it was so lovely to chitty chat with you right before our live. If you are a member of the channel, then every Sunday, we meet right before we go live and we chat about what's going on, about questions, concerns, whatever on your mind. We chitty chat about while we're getting ready to go live. And so if you're not a member, how come? If not, at least subscribe, and you can support the channel. It would mean so much to us. So hey, y'all, my name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money. We talk about travel and retiring or living abroad. We help folks who look like us, Black folks, getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan, get their money straight so that they can retire on time or maybe even abroad.
Abroad is very good.
Abroad is great, y'all. Abroad is great. Y'all know we were in Italy when history was being made. And if we still lived in the States, that probably would not have happened. It probably would not have happened. But the fact that we got our money straight, the fact that we live in Europe, it was a hop, skip, and a jump to go over to Italy, to hang out with one of our friends for the day and see other stuff and eat some good food and drink some good wine and all of that stuff, right?
Oh, yes.
And these are the things that you get to do once you decide that you want to live life on your terms. Once you decide that you are no longer going to be, I hate to put it this way, going to be a slave to the wage.
Take control of your life, yeah.
Exactly. So for those of you who are new, you might not know, back in 2018, Rick and I got a wake-up call. We looked at our money and it looked crazy. But we got our financial act together, and within 3 years, we went from negative 22,000 to over 800,000 in net worth, over 1.1 million as of today in net worth. And if we can do that, y'all,
you can do it.
you can do it too. Right?
That's right.
You can do it too. All right, sweetheart. So what we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about the cost of comfort and why staying put might be riskier than you think. And we got a great person that we're talking to.
Exactly.
She's been here before.
She's been here before. She is a friend of our Black Utopia. Y'all know her, who she is.
Dr. Kimani, where are you?
Dr. Kimani is in the house. So we are going to bring her up in a minute. But first, if I just have to say this because I want to put this up front. If you are coming to our meetup, and you haven't heard from us, check the email that you used for PayPal. Some of you use different emails from PayPal than you use for everything else. And so it's sitting somewhere, all this information, t-shirts and totes and all of that for the meetup. Those are on sale now and are about to go away as of Wednesday. All right. There's a WhatsApp group and they're planning all types of other excursions outside of our meetup. The folks who are coming, there's over 70 people coming, and they're planning all of this in the WhatsApp group. So if you have not heard anything from us, we want you to check your email. If you checked and you can't find anything, then send us an email and you can find that information on our YouTube page or on our website, ourblackutopia.com. And to all of you who are members, thank you. We have a couple of new members that I just wanted to give a quick shout out before we bring Dr. Kimani on. Thank you, Doug, for joining. And thank you, Wanda, for joining. Expert Ease Tax Talks become a YouTube member. Thank you, Wanda. Thank you. We appreciate that. And this is how you can support the channel, because the fact of the matter is that we are not going to be silent. We are not going to shut up. I've had people who are supporters of Our Black Utopia said, Halisi, calm down. Just like Uncle Sam told, not Drake, but Kendrick Lamar, right? Too loud, calm down. No. I was raised by Sister Soldier Malcolm X, and I will not be silent about the nonsense that is going on in the United States. I won't. And especially as it affects our community. And with that said, without further ado, we're going to bring on our guest for tonight. Hey, Dr. Kimani.
Hey, Dr. Kimani.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here today.
Absolutely. And as you see, liberate yourself.
Liberate yourself. Yes.
Right?
You said a slave to the wage. I might have to borrow that.
We know that, right? We understand how scary it can be to not have a weekly check or biweekly, however you get paid, to depend upon, right? And to have to depend upon your own wit and your own brilliance. That's the thing. I think we underestimate ourselves.
True.
We underestimate ourselves. And so why don't we start by having you, because we've got a lot of new subscribers since the last time you were on, probably about 20 or 30,000 more since the last time you were on. So why don't you introduce yourself to all of our new Utopians, and then we'll go get started.
Okay. Well, thank you again for the invitation to be here today. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Kimani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I've been licensed over 20 years. I'm also a toxic job survivor, but more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. I'm also the co-founder with Marissa Price of the second annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women coming up May 16th. So excited to share any information I can with you about my experiences, the experiences of other Black women, and our path to liberation, because we do have a path, right? So when we talk about being able to leave, I want to be very, very, very clear. We are not saying just up and leave that job and everything gonna be okay and you don't have to worry about money. We know that we need to make money. So we're talking about there are ways to leave a job that's harming you, or a job you've outgrown, or even if you're a federal worker and you've been laid off of a job. You have options of ways to replace your income. So I just want you to kind of turn down that fear, that immediate fear response of, I can't listen to this. You're talking about leave this job and I got built. We understand that. We're talking about ways you can still save yourself mentally and spiritually and physically and still replace your income.
Yeah. No, we're definitely not. It's interesting because we got to hang out with Adelia of Picky Girl Travels this week or last week when we were in Italy. And she said something that at the end of the day, we had gone out and did what she calls some foolishness, which means a bunch of nothing and looking around and just like, what's that over there? Let's go see.
Yeah.
Right. And she said, if anybody would have told me back in the day that all I had to do was not worry about money and money comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you release holding on to those things that you think that you have to make money, it's amazing. Money starts coming towards you, but you also position yourself so you're able to get money in other ways. Everybody watching this YouTube video, we all have transferable skills. So we can use those transferable skills that we use at a job somewhere else, and we find multiple ways to make money. But we have to be open-minded to really be open to really thinking about and following up on what that is. But the fear often keeps us stuck.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. It really, really does. And, we opened by you reminding me that a Black lady dropped dead at her desk at the Social
Mhm.
Security office.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was after the muskrat sent out the email to whomever on the staff at Social Security. The first one was justify your job. Bitch, justify your job.
For
How
real.
you getting $8 million a day and you trying to take $65 a day away from seniors?
You were not even, how did you get this job?
Right?
How did
Yeah.
you even get this job? Yes.
He's
Mhm.
a WEI, white, entitled, and incompetent.
Wow.
That's what he is.
Agreed.
They talk about all this DEI. Look. If a person is a DEI, one thing we do know is we work twice as hard to get half as much.
And
So
wait,
you know that
and
they are overqualified.
okay, and how is it that they fail forward and that they're incompetent and we have to work twice as hard to get half as much? Something's wrong there, right? And my dear friend Colette Elizabeth, she said, watch out, because this is what we're seeing right now.
Right.
People in the workplace who are incompetent. I can't stress how incompetent they are. Incompetent, insecure, immature. That is what we often see in these workplaces, and we get the brunt of it as Black people because we're coming in, we got to work twice as hard, half as much. They doing a whole nother thing. And so we're thinking that we can outmaneuver, we can out-degree, we can out-credential, we can outwork. No, it doesn't work that way because they have their own set of rules. We're not going to win in these environments.
That's right. That's right. And the system was not built for us. It was not created for us. But now here's the thing, y'all, because I don't want you to lose hope as we start talking about liberation for individuals, right? Is that this, and I kind of wrote a little bit about this on the Substack, but I got a lot more to say. So if you haven't joined the Substack, it's free. So go ahead and join our Black Utopia Substack. But they don't realize that they've unleashed a dragon. See, they don't realize what we contribute to the American economy.
Absolutely.
Through our brilliance and through our labor.
Yes.
Right? Through our work ethic, which every Black person that I know has an amazing work ethic because that's what Grandmama taught us.
Yeah.
That's what
we
Mama
had
taught
to
us.
learn how to have it.
That was an option, right? Yeah.
Right. And so they are so clueless. They are so clueless, but they're going to find out.
Right.
They are going to find out.
Yeah.
And so, it broke my heart.
I'm sorry. Can I say it really quick?
Yeah.
What I love right now, what's happening is as Black people, we are recognizing individually and collectively what we need to do for our liberation. So we're seeing right now that economic power. And I think we're starting to recognize, wait a minute, there's another way for us to live. And our ancestors have prepared us for this. We know how to pivot. We know how to pivot. And these people who are not worthy of us or don't deserve us and they're harming us, then we can pivot out and do something different.
Exactly. So, as we kind of started this conversation, it broke my heart to hear about this Black woman who was a career federal employee working at the Social Security office. She gets an email from the muskrat, the WEI hire. And, here's the thing, folks. if you don't have your money straight, this is going to be especially hard. And so we really, really encourage you, download the Ready to Retire Toolkit. It doesn't matter whether you are of retirement age. It shows you how you need to look at your money so that you do not have to go through what this woman went through. Because had they laid me off, I'd have been fine, because we had, even 2, 3, 4 years ago, a year or so worth of living expenses saved up.
Mm.
So I would not have been tripping
Mm.
about losing that job.
Mm-hmm.
But she was,
Yeah.
obviously, and it stressed her to death. And that's the fact,
Literally.
right?
At her cubicle.
At her
her
cubicle.
Whew. Yes.
At her cubicle. We do not want that for you.
Mm-mm.
We do not want that for you. All right. So before we get into it, let's just say hello really fast to some of the folks who are in the chat, and then we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. All right. From the top, because Allison was here first. We hope that you're having a wonderful Sunday too. Hey, Greta Cobbs, good to see
Greta.
you. Winnie is in the house. Flutter by Pacific Northwest. Greetings from Portland. I think your congresswoman was out there this morning, my love, with Cory Booker and
Hakeem.
and Leader Jeffries.
Okay.
So so shout out to her. She also went to downtown El Salvador, because they're disappearing people. That's not deportation, it's kidnapping, and it is human trafficking, what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And look, if we think that it will never come to what some people want to call foundational Black Americans,
think again.
If birthright citizenship is an option, then we are only citizens because we were born there, right? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Right,
but
Shonora?
He's canceling stuff, and it does.
Exactly. So
Constitution don't mean nothing.
Constitution does not mean anything, right?
Again, new set of rules. They have their own set of rules.
Exactly. So, hey, Black Butterfly, S. Carpenter, good to see you. Simu, hello to all. Good to see you in the chat.
Yes,
hey, Greta,
yes.
thank you.
Greta.
CK is in the house. Wanda,
Hey, Wanda,
thanks again for becoming a member. If you want to join and support this channel, because what we do know is that the melon felon is trying to silence voices, and we're not going to be silent. And the only way that we can make sure that we're not silent is if we have support from the community. Yeah. And so that's why we depend upon you. And so we thank you. Jametta.
Hey, Jametta
is in the house. And we've got Tracy from Wanderlust. Come on. There we go. The ABX girl.
Hey.
And of course, Action VJ, who is one of our Utopian legends, was on the Chitty Chat earlier today. Kay Renee, good to see you. Vicky G, Tana Rose. All right, y'all, we are going to get started. But we see you and we love you. Gwen and Derek and Jess, we thank you. Meriton Martine, Killer Queen, Valerina, Kay Renee, Jess, we love you all. Ailey, we love you guys so much, and we thank you. You know the drill. If you have a question or comment that you'd like us to put on the screen, then put a Q in front of it. And that helps us. We will be prioritizing. I don't think, usually we can see who is a member. Yeah, we will be prioritizing the comments from our members. And so that's how it will work. But put a Q in front of it. Members will go first, and then we will take everyone else. We got this. I love it. Every channel has a membership now. It's gotten to be a bit much. Look, support what you want to support. Okay. I support 2 channels. Right. I support Exodus Summit, and I support Don Lemon. And that's what we've chosen to do. But you support who you think brings value to your life, and don't worry about it. Yeah. Subscribe. It's free. We come on 6 times per month for free. So all of the information that we have, you can get for free. And so with that, hey, Carla, good to see you in the chat. Good to see you in the chat. We're going to get started. So Dr. Kimani,
Mhm.
what is the biggest obstacle that you have found when it comes to Black folks? I know you work with Black women mainly, but I think that we are all interconnected in this way when it comes to Black folks in these jobs and holding on for dear life.
Yes. Why is it? The why is the fear. Many of us as Black people, we've been told you get that good government job, you stay there with the good benefits, and you stay there until you retire. Most of us have been brought up that way. Most of us have been brought up with you work twice as hard to get half as much. So that's our social programming. So as we come to the workplace, many of us are primed to stay in these environments. We get these jobs and they might seem good when you start, and then you see like it becomes a nightmare. You start seeing things and you're thinking, uh-oh, this is bad. Yet I can maneuver it. I know how to play the game. I know who the players are. I know how to do this. Yet what we don't recognize is that playing this game can harm us. And many times we lie to ourselves that we know the game so well that we can outmaneuver these people. And that's not true, because the game, they're playing on a much bigger level. And you think that you're playing a game. They're playing chess, you're playing checkers. Okay. They're already outmaneuvering you. They're focusing on ways to exploit your labor. And so as Black people, we have to recognize when a job is harming us, when we're starting to experience physical and or psychological symptoms, we need to start exit planning. Now, exit planning does not mean you're broadcasting to everybody at the job, I'm out of here. You did it. No, you're not broadcasting that, but you're starting to get your exit plans together so you know about plan A, B, C, and D. So if something happens, if they come and say you're laid off tomorrow, you're good. You know what you're going to be able to do. So for us as Black people, we get in the social programming, but there's also a biological component that I just want to break down a little bit just to validate how we probably feel this way. So the fear of leaving a job is normal. It's normal because it's a major life change. Most of us don't like to make changes, okay? When you think about changing jobs, that feels like, oh my God. Most of us have this trauma response of, oh my God, I won't be able to pay my bills. Oh my God, I'm going to end up homeless. That's an immediate response, right? It goes from, oh my God, I'm going to end up homeless. So anything else in between, no, because we're in survival mode now, right?
I just got to stop you. We have had too many clients with $500,000 and $600,000 in the bank who have gone from having that money to homeless in 2 sentences.
I don't know what happened in
sentences.
between. Right. What happened in between?
Right.
So you were able to figure out other ways to survive in your life, right? You've been able to pivot. What makes you think that that job is the only place where you can make money, right? So that's another thing. But what happens with many of us, that the thought of leaving a job brings so much anxiety and fear that we go into like this primal response, right? So in our brain, we have the amygdala in our brain, which perceives that we're in danger, right? Uh-oh, we're in danger, we're in danger. So the amygdala shuts down everything else. So we go into this fight, flight, or freeze. So then we're freezing. I got to stay put. All this stuff is going on in the country. I got to stay put, right? So when that happens, your amygdala overrides your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex, that's where you're planning, your organization, your judgment. That's shut down. That's offline because you're in this survival mode. So what we have to recognize as Black people is that the fear is normal. It happens. But what are we going to do to put ourselves in environments, community, your community, my community? What are we going to do to put ourselves in community so we can turn down that survival brain? And then you're able to do what? You're able to plan, organize, and have good judgment about what you're going to do. So there's a big biological component that can help us understand this is the why. This is the why I'm responding this way. So now that I understand the why, what do I need to do about this next? Okay. I don't want to stay in survival mode because this is not going to help me to stay stuck and you're waiting for bad things to happen. For us as Black people, we need to get ready, right? So you got to stay ready. You got to be ready because things are happening all the time. during this time, it's really stressing that we need to get our act together and we need to plan and get ready and find ways to replace our income.
Yes.
There's other ways to replace our income that we need to be aware of that. And we need to find ways to have multiple streams of income, because if that one job goes, okay, do you want to be dependent on that one stream of income? No, we don't want that.
Right.
How do you also have multiple streams of income? So there's a biological component, and then there's the sociological component of how we've been programmed.
It's so true. I was a late starter. I just want to read. I was a late starter for saving, investing for retirement, but I also see how I was much more resilient about the BS when I was young and went sooner. Right, I went out sooner than rather than later. Absolutely, T. Martin. I don't know why that captured my eye, but it's true. Like we for those of you who have been watching us for a while, y'all know. You need to have a diverse investment portfolio, and you need to have diverse streams of income, right? Your income should be diverse as well. And no, like our parents, especially for those of us who are 50 plus, our parents, for the most part, did not necessarily have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been laid off of 80% of the jobs that I've had, not fired, laid off from downsizing, from corporate takeovers and things like that. Every job outside of, Taco Bell when I was a kid, but every job after college I've had, 80% of them I have been laid off.
Mm.
And so, the notion of working a place until you die, like that wasn't even true for my parents. Why? Because my father had a security pass. He had a federal security pass. He was an engineer in the aerospace industry.
Mm.
And when they decided that he was an enemy of the state, when they decided that his civil rights activities equaled communism, the McCarthy era folks came after him and took away his security pass. So what he thought was going to be a secure pathway to maintain our middle class lifestyle got ripped from up under him.
Mm.
You go to school for 4 years to get that engineering degree just to have somebody say, oh yeah, so that's cute. But because you're trying to help more Black folks go to college, yeah, you out of here.
Yeah, we're gonna put you in your place because you get a little too out of hand, right? So now we're looking at the parallels between these jobs and enslavement, colonization. There's so many parallels. Many of us will encounter, you go up, 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 you get the degrees, the credentials, all that kind of stuff, and we're thinking that's gonna save us. No. And in fact, that puts us many times more at risk because now you're shattering those stereotypes about what Black people can do. So, you uppity? Okay. So we're going to put you in your place and let's see what you're going to do now.
Exactly. And so that's why I said a slave to the wage, because what we have been sold is that we, as my great grandfather Pops would say, you get that good white folk job, right? And then you try to get, especially from 1995 on, then you try to get the trappings that let everyone around you know that you got that good white folk job, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've got, I know people who got BMWs and this and that and the other. And then when it's time to do something to create wealth for the family, they ain't got it.
Right.
But you got that BMW, but you got that Mercedes. Right. And so, and so then if you have not been saving 20, 30, 40, 50% of your income, yes, folks, yes, that's what we have to do, right? If you have not been doing that, then you are a slave to the wage because now you probably got some debt.
Yeah.
Right. And like baby girl who transitioned on at the Social Security office, how are my bills going to get paid?
Yeah. Yeah.
How my bills going to get paid?
Yeah. So the golden handcuffs is one thing, right? The job pays well. And so we're enticed and seduced by, I can get all these different things, these goodies. But what we don't recognize is a lot of times these goodies keeps you more enslaved. But you have to ask why? Why am I so invested in overspending for these tokens of value? What is that about? So if you are insecure on some level, you are more likely to start overspending because now you're seeking external validation. The car, the house, the clothes, the shoes, okay, the vacations. Are you trying to get external validation, and are you trying to get external validation from that job? Right. So if I get promoted, then I can say I'm the VP of da 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 da. Okay. But then do you recognize that now you're constantly giving your sense of worth over to other people?
Exactly. And it's so natural, right? All of you all who are part of Exodus Summit, you've heard this. The biggest thing that when you start a conversation in the United States, what do they ask you?
What do you do?
And people don't say, what I do for a living is blah, blah, blah. They say, I am.
Yes. So true.
I am. Not I am a human being, right? I am an accountant. I am a lawyer. I am but that's not all of who you are. That's like a very small part of who you are, as a matter of fact.
Exactly.
But yeah, like and outside of the United States, that's not the conversation starter. It is not, because the people understand that work has its place, and life is more important than work. Obviously, you can't do life well without some money. We know that.
Right.
But folks got their priorities straight, right?
Right.
Like we were talking earlier with the members on our chitty chat, is like, yeah, you go in the park on a Sunday and you're just gonna see people out there just hanging, just hanging. What are we doing? We ain't doing nothing but sitting here and talking. And we started this at 3 or 4 o'clock, and that could be a weekday too.
Yeah, definitely.
It is not unusual on a weekday to see parents with their kids in the park, because they get a break and then they go take the kids back to school and they go back to work.
Yeah.
It's not
They
unusual.
value humanity. They value humanity. There's no value of humanity here. It's like we're treated like workhorses, and then we kind of just fall into this way of being, and then our identity becomes fused with our job title.
Exactly. And it was going to be very easy for me to fall into that trap. Well, my parents went to college, and a lot of people my age, parents, did not go to college. Right. And so that was a big deal. Right. And so then there were certain expectations from that. And with that expectation comes all of the nonsense, all of the Black excellence nonsense and I believe unconsciously, this is divide and conquer. This is divide and conquer, because it wants to separate me from my brothers and sisters who could not afford to go to college or just chose not to, right? It separates me from my brothers and sisters who, because of circumstances or whatever, have to get help from the government, as if somehow I am better. Right. So then we look down. We don't look back with a hand. No, we look down, and that's all by design too.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that. Have you read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, Alicia and Rick?
Yes.
Yeah, it's such an example of ways that the ramifications of slavery are still operating to this day. And as Black people, we don't recognize the divide and conquer that will always keep us separated. It will undermine any attempts for us to really elevate individually and collectively. And we have to think, see, that's that whole individualistic, colonized way of thinking that if I make it, then I'm good. I made it, you make it. No, that's not who we are as Black people. That's a disconnect from who we even are as Black people. And we need to reclaim who we really are.
Exactly. Which some of that is what I wrote about in the Substack. Let's get to some of these before we get too far down the line in our talk. I'm a Fed, being early retired by the Mellon Fallon. My wife and I went out, want off of this toxic train. I know you do, Wink. What are things to consider when choosing a place to relocate? Very quickly, you need to make a list of wants and needs, Wink. Okay. independent of a place. What do you need to be happy, and what do you want, right? And so you want to make sure that the places that you visit have at least 80 to 90% of what you need. Because, like, look, I can't find no slap your mama here, and brown sugar's kind of hard to find. But, I
But
can make up my own slap your mama.
You can make up your own, and you can survive without it if you have.
Right.
Exactly. So that becomes more of a want, right? And so then I want to be close to water. I want, and maybe being close to water is a need, depending upon how you're made, right? It might be a need. And so that's the first thing that you need to start. We have a Move Abroad toolkit in the description below, and that will walk you through all of that, as well as give you the databases that will show you cost of living for cities around the world. So you can put in, I want this kind of city, this size, this level of this and that and the other. Here's my price points, etc. And what continent. And it will pull up all of the cities that meet your criteria. And that can be found in our Ready to Retire toolkit, as well as our Move Abroad toolkit. And both of those are in the description below. He's someone.
You need a shirt, t-shirt.
Are you in the WhatsApp group? Because if you're not in the WhatsApp group, like, we talk about jobs. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, then you need to be in the WhatsApp group. And the list, and then I sent out an email as well today. So again, if you are coming to the meetup and you haven't been getting emails, it's probably because the email that you use for PayPal is different than the email that you check all the time. So check whatever you use for PayPal, and that's where you will see all of the links. And y'all got till Wednesday now. Come on now. Don't be putting no more gray hair on me. So Allison says, so I got thrown under the bus at my job, written up, and then set up.
Yep. So common.
So I remember when I transferred from basically the entertainment industry to venture capital. Now, that might seem odd, but I was in business affairs and development and creative development, but I did do business and legal affairs in the entertainment industry. So part of my job as a creative was also to create a profit and loss statement and things like that for the movies that we were thinking about buying. And these white girls, they had peer-to-peer evaluations back in them days. And these white girls were saying, she's always rolling her eyes and blah, 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 whoop-de-woo, and this is that and the other. And see, they were young. I looked their age, but I was like 35, 36, 37, while they were like 30, 27 and stuff like that. So it's like, I just went to HR. It's like, okay, so this is cultural. So we ain't playing this game. This is cultural.
Right.
And they do not understand my expressions, and they're using it against me.
Right.
So what we're not going to do, I said, so the person who said this and that and the other is the same person who left early with a bunch of her work for me to do.
Right. I did a video about this, Halisi, on Friday with my guest, and we were talking about double standards and vilification of Black women in the workplace. That's a classic example, because if you do something, it's perceived very different than when they do something. And then it becomes, if you say something, then you're aggressive. You're making them uncomfortable, and you need to contort and do all these things to make them uncomfortable. And you're the bad person. You're the bad Black person, Black woman who's making other people or making white women cry. You're a terrible, mean person, right? Yes.
Exactly. Because I asked you to do your damn job, Miss Receptionist. And why you are evaluating me is, I have no idea. Like, why
the receptionist is evaluating? Right. Like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Yes.
I mean, you need to take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, if the partner says one thing and then the receptionist is saying something opposite, who you think wrong? The person who's making $500,000 a year, who I'm not a threat to, or the person who thinks that I came in and took their job? They thought they was going to get promoted. Who you think, right?
Right.
And that's what they do.
Classic.
And that's what they do. Classic. It is classic. And this was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. This was back in the early 2000s.
Still
Right.
happening.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right. So thank you again, Allison, for becoming a member. Again, every Sunday before we go live, y'all, we hang out with you guys, chitty chat. And this is okay. So this makeup was put on while I was talking to you guys. That's why it doesn't look as good as it usually does.
That looks fabulous.
Thank you. I talked to my Aunt Gwen, and she told me about the 55 no penalty withdrawal from my 401k. I've heard of that, Allison. I can't elaborate because we had decided we weren't going to touch them. And I know we're going to have to start moving money. Well, Rick's going to have to start moving money in a few years to a post-tax account. But we have been able to be here
to maintain
with Social Security and YouTube. That's it, y'all.
That's phenomenal.
That's it, right? And you know, and Rick he's not getting, the max because he didn't wait. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, this is not the first person who dropped dead on the job. I remember hearing about another government employee, and they were working on a project with, let's just say, Mary, right? Mary and he were working on a project. He's catching the subway on the way home that evening and dies before he gets home.
Ooh.
She doesn't find out about it until like Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
Like Monday, people were acting like,
And that was so replaceable. So think about how much we devote our lives to these jobs, taking to work home, work on the weekend, stressed out about the job. But like Stephanie Perry, these jobs ain't loyal. Something happens to you within a day or two.
They have you replaced within a day.
Right. Exactly.
So, okay, let's go through a couple more of these. Thank you, by Pacific Northwest. We appreciate that. And so if you Substack, it's free, y'all. Go ahead and subscribe. And that's when I get some of my political rantings out of the way, so I don't have to do that on our YouTube channel. Our contribution creatively in our arts, right? Exactly. I heard a word today that by DT, the Mellon Felon, forcing out the government employees and pushing them into the private sector, it's going to drive down the salaries, which is what the business leaders want. I could see that happening, but there's not enough jobs to absorb a third of government employees being laid off. Like the federal government is the biggest employee in the country. And so they will not be able to absorb that, right? And some of these jobs, well, I was about to say some of these jobs are so specialized, it'd be hard to find another. But if you know how to market yourself, skills are transferable.
Absolutely.
Skills are transferable. So it's not necessarily about that, but yeah, I could see that happening. Which is another reason I want to get to this question, but I want to make sure that we don't get too far ahead. I love we are going back and owning and accepting ourselves. Yes. In the pandemic, we got our rest. Now we are getting free.
Yes.
Exactly.
And can I say that the thing about what we need to understand is getting free, we need to mentally free ourselves first. Because there's a lot of mental traps, there's a lot of mental enslavement that we have that keeps us from getting our money together. So we have to address the mental part as well.
So, and I want to talk about that next, and some of the other like things that we tell ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I want to give a shout out, Cassandra. She was there earlier. We preclude our options when we work paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Those with reserve funds maintain their options, including leaving the job, location, country, etc. Debt is a shackle. That is the slave wage, right? right? And that's why, wages basically have not gone up in the last 40 years, right? And so now we have more debt to maintain the lifestyle that we grew up with. And for what? And for what? Thank you, Jackie, for becoming a member.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shanora, for becoming a member. We appreciate it. Allison said, that's my husband. Okay, I'm not sure what you were referring to. Allison, unless you're talking about workaholics, right? Unless you're talking about workaholics. We generally work in exhaustion mode. Gosh, yes. How can one diversify income when we can barely get dinner at the end of the workday before crashing to thereafter starting a new day? I'm going to let you take that.
Well, first, we have to think about boundaries. A lot of times we're in exhaustion mode because we're taking work home. So we work the workday, or we're staying late, we're staying over our work hours, and now you're exhausted. So you literally have no energy. So we have to think about boundaries. If you're not like an emergency surgeon or something like that, where you're on call 24 hours a day, you have set work hours. So you have to take it upon, and your job description does not say you have to be available 24 hours a day, then you have to maintain boundaries, right? So even if they try to say to you, well, we sent you an email at 7 p.m., and they're waiting for a response. If you respond back, you are reinforcing that behavior. So you need to not look at work emails, don't respond to that stuff, and let them know I am on the clock from 9 p.m. to 5 p.m. If it's within those hours, I will follow up with you. If it's outside of those hours, I won't. That's the biggest thing. That is why we're so exhausted. Now, the other reason that we're exhausted is because there is a mental toll of working at toxic jobs. So think about the toll, the cost. You talk about the cost. What is the cost of waking up every day? You don't want to go to job. You're dreading going to your job, right? That energy, the energy of trying to talk yourself through getting up, getting to the job, the cost of, let's say you're crying on your way to work. Let's say when you get to the job, now you're masking because all day, they're coming for you, right? So they're coming for you. So okay, I got to really watch what I'm saying, how I say it, what I'm doing, and you still got to do your job. So on top of that, I hear people going to the bathroom crying. The toll of that was the cost of that. Then when you leave work, are you still thinking about the job? So the cost of that. So all of that causes emotional exhaustion. So we have to think about, okay, what's going on here with my own boundaries? And am I experiencing all these other things? If you are, I would say therapy is very important for you because it allows you a space to talk to someone who's objective, who can talk to you, reality test with you, because you're probably all up in your head like, did I do that? Did that really happen? Right? So you start self-gaslighting yourself because the job is doing that. So having a safe space to talk to a therapist to reality test with you, that helps with the exhaustion. Also, a good therapist will be able to say, no, that's not you. Okay, this is the part that is you. This is the part that's not you. Okay. But also a good therapist will help you set boundaries. The boundaries might be at the job, but it also might be in your personal life. Okay. So in your family, are you the one who's always sought out to do everything? Okay. So are you always making everybody's appointments and doing all these other things? You have to set boundaries with your family too. What about your church? So even at church, are you the one who you always do this certain thing every Sunday, every Saturday? We have to look in our lives. Where are some boundaries where we're over expending and we're putting out, but how are we getting any energy back? So we have to look at boundaries. We have to look at ways that there's all these costs in our lives. And what are the ways that we can replenish ourselves, which again goes back to boundaries. So I get it. If you're exhausted, it's hard to even think about other ways. But if you have these things in place, boundaries, you have a good therapist or a good outlet where you're able to talk to, people are pouring into you. Now you have the energy. Now you have the clarity. And you are now turning down that survival brain. Because if you're exhausted, you're probably in fight, flight, or freeze, right? Like, oh my God, I gotta respond to this. Let's turn that down And then you'll be able to access different resources about ways to replace your income and invest and all these other ways to deal with your money.
Yeah, exactly. Here in Portugal, it's against the law for them to text or email you after hours.
Wow.
It's against the law.
Ooh.
Right? And so, for those of you who are exhausted, what are you giving them and what are you getting back? Because so often we give so much more than
Yeah.
we get back, right? And we believe that by giving all of this extra, that we will get rewarded either by not getting fired or by getting the raise and or the promotion or all of the above. And it's simply definitely just not true. They do not appreciate. And so, look, what does the job description say?
Right. And we have to recognize too, there's this concept in psychology, and it really refers to when you start to extinguish your behavior. So let's say you set a boundary, right? So let's say your job, you work 9 to 5 and you're telling them, okay, I'm not going to respond to anything after 5, right? If you happen to, they email you at 6 and you respond at 6, now you've reinforced that behavior. Because when you set boundaries on people in a way that you have not done before, their response is to try even more, to get you to go back to their old behavior. Because they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So recognize that may happen. So people might try even more, right? People in your family, your friends, the job, they might try even more. You have to stay with that boundary, because if you don't, now you reinforce them again. They're like, oh, okay, she said that, but she'll end up looking at the email. She'll end up doing it. I just do it again. Just keep trying. So we have to maintain those boundaries.
Definitely. And I just stopped. I don't care. Like, we're not saving lives. I'm not a doctor on call. If I know some people who are, and that's fine. But let's not get it twisted. We are not saving lives.
Well, we're killing ourselves thinking that we're saving lives.
That part.
Right?
That part.
No, yeah.
Exactly. What you gonna say?
But how do you make people, because I know a lot of times I always say, don't let desperation be your motivation, because we get to a point where we are desperate to keep the job because we haven't prepared for anything past that.
That part, yes.
And we need somebody like you to talk us off the ledge and say, you know what, you got to let it go.
Exactly.
You got to let it go.
Exactly. Look at why am I feeling a sense of desperation, right? Got to lean into the why. And then once we understand the why, then okay, now I get it. Now I see what I need to put in place so I don't feel as desperate, right? So if I feel like I have to hold on to this job, why do you feel that way? Okay, so let's look at what are the other things you can put in place so you feel less desperate, because now it's going to keep you in that job that may be harming you longer. So yeah, so true.
Yep. Thank you for becoming a member, T. Martin, and every single week, Dennis. We just thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
We just thank you for the super chat. As y'all know, all super chat, thanks donations, super sticker donations go to our scholarship fund for Beyond the Bling. That is our financial independence program for late bloomers. Information is in the description below. If you need a scholarship, send us an email. You don't need to give us a sob story or anything like that. If you say you need one, then we're just going to believe you. And if we've got some available, then you will get one. It's as simple as that. So I've always kept 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I heard that, Dennis. You have to control your career and not get too comfortable at any company you're in, because you're just a head count. I've always laid companies off, not the other way around. Ooh, I heard that. I wish that were my story. I never got comfortable. I stopped getting comfortable after 30. Like that's how long it took. It didn't take long at all. Like I didn't bring personal pictures. Like, you know how people put all that personal stuff?
Yeah.
This is a place for work. This is not my second home.
Yes. Yes, yes. Let me say something about that too. We have to be very mindful in the workplace of not sharing too much of our personal business in the workplace because there's a lot of messy people in the workplace and they will try to, see your pictures and ask you questions and get in your business. And they could be telling your business to other people. So
Hmm.
again, boundaries is important even in the workplace. So people trying to ask you your personal business, use discretion on what you share with them. Also, boundaries with not venting with your coworkers. I used to do that. I'm guilty. I did that at the toxic job. I would vent with coworkers about some crazy stuff would happen. I'm like, girl, did you see that? Da, 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 da. Don't do that. Don't do that because you never know who's in cahoots with who and who's going to throw you under the bus. So please use discretion and not talk to your coworkers about crazy stuff happening at that job.
Yeah, or anything. My dad used to say, come up with something that sounds very personal, but really is innocuous. So
That's
you give
good.
the illusion that you are sharing
You're
and
sharing.
that you're being, oh yeah, I trust you, this and that. They said, because even sometimes the smallest thing can be used against you.
Absolutely.
Like even the small thing like, oh, we're looking to buy a house. No, they don't need to know that. They do not need to know that. And I know Marissa is in the comments, so maybe she has emailed you. But they don't need to know that. And so I have been doing that ever since I graduated from high school in basically coming up with like, what did you do this weekend? Oh, went to the park. Oh, hung out at the beach. Yeah. The sun was so bright. And did I get a tan? Nothing that is of any value. And even some things that seem innocuous, that seem benign, can be
Yes,
used
Yeah.
against you.
Don't
exactly.
don't
And you know
complain
when
about
they
the
fishing.
kids.
No
Yeah, you
complaints
know when
about
they're fishing.
family members, nothing.
Yeah, just leave it light. You know how many kids you have off to? Oh, okay. Just play them off. You know when they're fishing. So
Hmm.
don't feel like you have to tell them all your business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, what about having to leave that job to go to the next one?
Mm. So are you meaning?
Oh, like you've got two jobs.
Wow.
That's what I'm
Oh,
Okay.
thinking. That's what I'm
you have two
thinking. So,
jobs.
so
Okay.
creative flavor. We don't want anybody watching to be working two jobs. I'm sorry. But like if you've got time to work a second job, you've got time to create another income stream.
Yeah.
If you've got the energy to work another job, then you've got the energy to create another income stream. And I understand like short term, you got to do what you got to do. I understand that 100%. But in the meantime, in between time, you need to be figuring out creative flavor. Obviously, you got something going on, right? You need to figure out what that income stream is going to look like. We will be launching our next side hustle challenge right after the meetup. The meetup is June 16th and 17th. And come July will be our next cohort. Okay, so we will start pre-selling that probably this Thursday or next Sunday. So for any of you who want to be in the next cohort for our Side Hustle Challenge, it's going to be from idea to launch within that time period. It's a challenge. That means it's like this, okay? Then, keep your ears and eyes peeled and, and we take and show you how you can make money. There are so many ways to make money out there, y'all. Seriously.
And you need about every rich person has at least 4 to 5
income streams.
income streams.
Yeah. So your
at
average,
least 3.
Yeah. And so for us, that means we've got rental property. That means that our money is making money. And we do get dividends, whatever they are, we reinvest them. But it is an income stream and it is creating wealth on the back end, even though we are not taking that money out. Of course, YouTube pays us ad revenue and we have a course that we have that's ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do one-on-one coaching. So that's 5 income streams right there. not including Social Security. That's 5 income streams. And that doesn't even count the launch of the membership program or little, the meetup. We don't really make money off the meetup. It's basically at cost, but Rick and I get to go for free. that's that. We do that to build community. So
we get to hang out.
We get to hang out with y'all. So that's really not a moneymaker. But it could be. It could be, So all of these different things, and it's a little bit from here, and that doesn't even count like whatever Amazon gives us for whatever clicks or whatever. I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to that. So a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then and of course we do the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. Not sure if we're going to do it this year, but we definitely did for the last 2 years. So all of that brings in enough money so that when Adelia said she's going to be in Italy, it's like, oh, okay. Well, we'll meet you over there, and we'll hang out during Easter week in the most Catholic country in the world. Wasn't thinking that through too well. So you not only let them know, you teach them how to treat you. That's right. Do nothing before time or after time. I ain't crying. Do your research on the bully on your team. Document. Do not smile. Take no shit. All right, Greta.
All right. She said it.
Oh, but somebody else said that too. Look, another thing that I used to do, let's see, here it is, Pinky. I always kept work journals and documented everything. Yes, ma'am. So did I. Daddy taught me that right after college. Everything. Supervisors, co-workers, directors, I documented it all. Yep. Go ahead and take your best shot. I know how to play your game, and you taught me well. Date, time, who was there, what was said. My youngest, oh, Mom, I'm like, look, these people, you got to come with receipts.
You got to be ready.
Because they'll try to gaslight you and make you think you're crazy.
Absolutely. It's going to happen. It's just when.
Yes.
And it's really getting prepared. And, there was a comment in the chat, and Alicia, I did send you a private chat with the link. But there was a comment in the chat. I'm wondering if we could talk a little bit about it, she was saying that she had retired, and she said that she's working part-time. All of her financial savings are drained. She said she has to go back until full retirement, but just listening to this conversation is making me stressed. So I really hope that when we hear things that relates to our lives, yes, it can cause stress. I hope that you are able to recognize that this conversation, the resources that we're providing, can help you so you feel less stressed. We have to be mindful that when we hear something stressful and it relates to our lives, that we don't avoid it, right? Because it's common. We hear something stressful, it makes us uncomfortable, we avoid it. Okay, like, yes. I avoid it, I'm done, it feels better. No. Short term, it might help you. Long term, this is not going to help you to avoid. So even if this conversation is uncomfortable for you, the hope is that you could still hear it and hear the resources that we're offering you that may possibly help you out of your situation. Again, don't shut it down and say, oh, this is too stressful, I can't hear it. The invitation is say, okay, what is it about this situation that is making me stressed? What about it relates to my own life? And how can I listen to what the resources are that might help me out of my situation so that long term, you'll be able to make some choices and some changes. But short term, I really don't want you to avoid this conversation because you're feeling stressed. This is stressful. It is stressful. We're talking about something that is traumatic, stressful, all those things. But when we don't approach those things, it festers, right? It just festers in your body. So when you think about toxicity, it just festers. It's sitting there longer. But the more you approach something, I'm talking psychological talk, right? The more you approach something and you sit with it and you figure out what you need to do, the easier it is for you to do it, okay? Please do not avoid this conversation. This conversation is a needed conversation.
Yeah. And I just want to piggyback onto what the doctor said, because I remember in church, and there'd be a row of us, and pastor would say something that hit home. And we be lifting up our feet. Is he stepping on our toes? Is he stepping on our toes? Because the thing about it is it's something that we know we have to deal with. And that's why it's uncomfortable, because we know deep down inside this is something that we need to address. And whether that means being a lot more proactive with our savings rate as we can, right? Whether that means always having, like thinking about a side hustle when we're tired, so that next year we don't have to feel what we feel today. Usually we feel uncomfortable because we're hitting close to home. And I get it. I get it. It is not fun to deal with the inequities of this world. And it is certainly not fun when we believe we have set ourselves up for success, and yet we're still vulnerable, right? It's uncomfortable when in our minds we are part of Black excellence, and we've got the things, right? And we've got the status, and then one butthole can wipe all of that away if who you are is 100% tied to what you do. And then, of course, money. We need money to live. We need money to be comfortable. We need money for our security, right? This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? This is right down there at the bottom.
Correct.
Right down there at the bottom. This is the first level, right? So get that. We get that. The way I deal with stress is to come up with a plan. And I feel better,
yes.
right? I feel better when, even in a layoff, because like I said, I've been laid off of 80 to 90% of the jobs I've ever had, right? And so I've never, ever, 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 ever felt comfortable, ever. But when I'm exhausted, when we started to think of, okay, so what is this side hustle going to look like and who are we going after? That gave me energy. That gave me the energy to say, now I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. Now I can see a way not to be so dependent upon this job, on this one job, and whether they act a fool, be the racist self that they are, do whatever they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I've got something else that can carry us through for a while.
Right. And the other part too is that when we start getting in that mode of feeling so stressed, then we start feeling helpless and hopeless. So again, lean into what is making you feel helpless and hopeless. Are you feeling helpless and hopeless because you got laid off? And then it was like the suddenness of what happened. So you're still reeling from that. Is it you have some grief about what happened to you? So that means really processing the grief of, I cannot believe that this happened to me, or I was really committed to this work and they laid me off. So processing the emotional part will help you, like lean into what is causing me this stress, but don't let that prevent you from planning. I completely agree. When we plan, that gives us a sense of choice and control. We feel helpless and hopeless when we feel a loss of control. We don't have choice, but we do have choice. And planning is the key part of that.
We do. All right, midlife money moves. A layoff could be a blessing in disguise. April 2nd was my layoff emancipation day. It was a huge relief. Oh my gosh, it was a huge relief, and the physical pain I was having subsided. I was holding on to more stress than I realized. Y'all, I remember.
Yeah, we all do.
We all do. And I will never forget. I was young. I was under 30 years old, and I was working for Eddie Murphy Productions way back in the day. These were the Arsenio Hall days, right? So this was the heyday of Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy and that whole thing, right? And so I was working at his company, and that place was such a disorganized mess that I was stressed the hell out every single day because I did not understand, and no one could tell me what the expectations were, except for to look pretty. Literally, the agency that got me the job said that. I had so much pain in my lower back, and I did not understand why. I went to the doctor. doctor, doctor, give me the news, right? I was sitting, back in those days, I still lived in an apartment. Of course, I'm young, right? And, one of the big corporate apartment complexes that they have in Southern California, we had a pool, a couple of jacuzzis. So I go get in the jacuzzi, the hot tub, whatever, and try to, work it out. It did not matter until I got laid off. And about a day and a half later, that pain went away. And I was like, I'll be
Exactly.
damned.
Right.
That was stress.
Exactly. So once the source of the stress is removed, we will see a decrease in our symptoms. So what we often do as Black people, we experience the stress in the workplace, but then we try to use Band-Aids. I'll go on vacation. I'll buy a nice car. I'll buy a nice bag. I'm going to go out to dinner. I'm going to drink. I'm going to go to happy hour. These are Band-Aids. It's not going to remove the source of the problem. But once the source of the problem goes away, then you often experience an improvement in your symptoms.
Right.
So what do you say to the person who says, look, I hate this place, but in a year, I'm going to have full retirement. I'm going to have my full pension. So I'm just going to try to stick it out. I'm just going to try to stick it out.
Okay.
What do you say?
I would say it's nuanced. I say it's nuanced. First, I need for you to honestly assess, how are you right now? I need you to go get a physical to make sure you're okay physically. And I need you to check in with yourself psychologically about how you are, okay? If you are literally hanging on by a thread, your blood pressure is out of whack, your blood sugar levels off the charts, you're gaining weight, you can't sleep at night, you're crying all the time, I would say pause, okay? Really evaluate, what is the cost? So you're thinking, if I could just hang on that other year, that full year, do you think you'll be able to make it? Okay. Because what we don't want you to have, what to happen is you fall down dead because you're trying to stick it out. Right. Because if your doctor is saying to you, you need to make some major life changes, because if you don't, listen to the doctor. Listen to the doctor. Okay. Don't be like, oh, well, I can do. No, listen to the doctor. The other thing is, if let's say it's not as bad as that, okay, maybe go into therapy and start having a safe space for you to talk about, like kind of release some of the tension. Like you got a pot, right? The pressure cooker. And so maybe going to therapy can let up the pot a little bit, right? You're not going to heal, but can help you like let up the pot a little bit, the steam, so you'll be able to make it. But if you are honest with yourself and your doctor is saying, this is not a good idea, you have to prioritize your health, your well-being. Your family will appreciate having you around more so than, oh, she stuck it out to retirement, I'm so sorry she didn't make it, but at least she tried. At least she tried to make it. So we have to be honest with ourselves about what is our current situation. If you are not being that harmed, then think about, okay, what are the ways that I could possibly make it, if it's only a year, 6 months, right? But also, what are my plans? So let's say I cannot. What are my backup plans if I cannot? A lot of people think that if I retire, if I leave early and I don't make it the full time, are there ways to still get a portion of your retirement? Maybe it's not the full retirement, but are there ways, can you live off of that? Can you find other ways to supplement your income so you get that money? And there's other ways to still supplement it. So don't get closed into, I have to just stick it out for that 1 year. You have to be honest with yourself about where your health is.
Truly, truly, truly. And y'all, for some of you, if any of you don't have to go to a brick and mortar place, if you can find a place that has a lower cost of living, even for a portion of the time, right? If you have to go back and forth or something like that, that can ease the burden and allow you to be able to save just that much more money so that you have choices.
Right.
As I said, now, again, Rick and I have been living in Portugal since 2022. But our monthly nut, not including food, but including transportation, if we took public transportation 100% of the time, which sometimes we don't, is about $1,500 per month. That's rent, utilities, our cell phone and the transportation cards and the Metro cards. Okay, guys. So people say, well, how can you move to Europe? Yeah, the move was expensive. I'm not going to lie. Paying all of the experts so that we don't mess up and then have to go through the process again was a little bit of money. I'm not going to lie. But once you get established, most other countries that you would want to live in are less expensive than the United States, like much less expensive.
Just the healthcare alone.
Just the healthcare alone. I still haven't paid. I got to pay those today. All of the tests that I had right before we went to Italy, I got, all the female tests that you're supposed to get, the mammogram, the this and that, but not just a mammogram. It was a sonogram too. And then a EKG, that's compulsory. EKG Doppler, don't know what that is, but I think there's a doctor in the house that may be able to tell me, an MD, that may be able to tell me what that is. Anyway, that's compulsory. The blood tests and all of that stuff. My portion, after the private insurance that we pay $180 a month for both of us, I wanted 80 euro.
That's crazy.
80 euro.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got so many sonograms poked around in me and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, y'all see it? You see it, everything good. Because I haven't been poked and prodded. But like, life is less expensive out of the United States. And so you're holding on, especially like Dr. Kimani said, if you got to do a return on investment, an ROI. If you're saying, if I retire today, I get $2,000 a month, but if I wait that year or two, then I'm going to get $2,300 a month or $2,500 a month. Yeah. You got to sit there and say, okay, is this worth it?
You got to rethink that. Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if you say it's a difference between 2,000 and 5,000, because that's a big difference. But a few $100, dude, I can teach you how to make that in your sleep. Right? And so, I think that we are holding on to things because everything in America is so expensive. It's so expensive. We live here fine with no car. So we ain't got to worry about car insurance. And Ubers here, unlike Italy, Ubers here are still very, very affordable. Even the taxis here are less expensive than what they are in Italy.
Oh my God.
I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to protect their taxi drivers. But we ended up learning that Italian transportation system. So if you want to retire and you're like, well, look, if I go to Italy, I got to have me a car and this and that. Okay, well, then maybe you got to work that toxic job. But if you're like, oh, everybody taking Metro, I'm cool figuring out how to take Metro. I still get to go to Italy, right? If you cool with that, if you cool with giving up some of the perks, maybe you don't need that money. Maybe you don't need that money. So rethink and don't assume. You got to challenge assumptions. Don't assume that you know what it is like to live outside of the United States on your own if you've never done it. And I don't count when you get moved with a company, because that's a privileged place to be. And that's not what we're talking about. Like, if you can do that, hell, do it. Because even the folks that we know that transferred out of the United States and then started working for the UK division or the Western Europe division, the culture here is so much different that you probably will be less stressed out. So the people that we know who were able to do that, the culture here is so much more about family and balance, life balance, that it might be easier for you to stick it out for those 2 years, And if you're in Portugal and the office in the UK, that means you working remote anyway. So you only got to deal with them on Zoom or whatever, right? And get your work done, make sure everybody else is doing what they're supposed to do, whatever you're supposed to do, right?
Fly in every once in a while.
Fly in once in a while and do the thing, right? But again, everybody that I know who transferred said, oh my gosh, if the people in the United States knew that the Acme division over here that, they get this, they get that, they get paid time off when the babies are born, and daddy gets paid time off and all this other nonsense. Like, if they knew, everybody would be trying to transfer. So if you work for one of those big global corporations, consider that, because that may be a way that you can save your sanity if you still need to save money or get out of debt. Right, Dr. Kimani? All right.
Again, we always have to think about the cost. What are the costs? Like you said, return on investment. So let's do a cost benefit analysis. Okay. So the costs are here and the benefits are here. So if it's like that, then what are other ways that I could still make money? Maybe not at this job, but it involves planning. What types of plans in place? I don't want anybody to hear this conversation and hear the takeaway is we saying just leave. Magically things are going to be. No, what we're saying is there are different ways, different options, different resources to get your plans together. And we need to get our plans together as Black people.
Yeah. Yeah. And take shortcuts. Like, there are enough of us out here doing the thing that will show you how to do the thing, how to make money outside of the traditional ways. There's enough of us out here doing it. If you're watching us, then you know that, right? You know that. And document every call, pre-job interview, the day you search them out and their response. Greta doesn't play. Greta Cobb does not play. But yeah, like, you don't have to do it the hard way. You don't have to figure this out on your own. You do not have to figure this out on your own, which leads us to one of the reasons why we have Dr. Kimani on, because the summit is coming up for Black women, and yours truly gets to be a speaker. Yay. But why don't you tell them a bit about, because we're talking about solutions, a bit about the summit. I will put the link. If you want to sign up, I will put the link in the chat, and then I will also put it in the description after this is over.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited that Halisi is one of our speakers at the second annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women, which I am doing with Mercer Price. So the summit, it starts May 16th. So we have a lineup of all-star Black women speakers to share information with you about the mindset, about how to address the mindset issues that might keep you at a job. So we're talking to Black women, no matter if you are, let's say, still at the job and you're like, I don't know. That's for you. If you're at a job and it's toxic and you want to go, but you don't know how, or even federal workers or other people who have been laid off. This is for any Black woman, regardless of your education, your profession, any Black woman, no matter where you are in the world. Last year, we had over 300 Black women in attendance. It is virtual. It is recorded. So if you're not able to go all of the days, then you can see the recording. Also, as a privacy consideration, we don't want people in our business. As a privacy consideration, Black women who are coming to the summit, their names will not be listed. Their faces are not going to be on camera. Only the summit speakers. So the summit talks multiple sessions about ways to replace your income. So retiring early, what to do about your financial exit plan, how to create multiple streams of income, so many different options about how to replace your income, how to reconnect to your dreams, how to use your transferable skills to pivot to something else. But we are all Black. This is Black women sharing information with other Black women. So the summit is May 16th to the 18th, but it also has some bonus sessions. So if you want to get the all access pass, you have access to the replays for a longer period of time. You also have access to a financial masterclass for 1 hour. And these are evening masterclasses if you're in the States. So it's with Dr. Roche Brown. She is the same Black woman financial psychologist whom I work with to get my financial exit plan together. Because when I was still at that toxic job, I was like, I got to get out of here. But I don't know how to get out of here. I'm staying because of finances. How do I get my financial exit plan together? So you will have your financial exit plan. You will learn what to do about your health insurance, your retirement. Okay, that's the first bonus session. The second bonus session is with Janice Sutherland. She is talking to Black women 50 and above, because what I've encountered is once Black women reach that 50-year, it's like, I cannot leave because I'm vested here. I got to stay to retirement. We're going to talk to you about what your options are. The third bonus speaker is Jackie Abram. She's going to talk to Black women about when you're in that toxic work environment, what are some of the ways you can kind of develop like the psychological armoring as you go into the workplace? Because again, you're not able to just up and leave most of the time. So what are the things you can kind of protect yourself so that you will be sane and creating your exit plan? I'll also be doing an Afroflow yoga virtual session with Antoinette. I'm in the process of becoming Afroflow yoga teacher. So many Black women speakers over the course of these days to pour into Black women. So again, we could turn down that survival brain. We're in that crisis mode, right? Turn down that survival brain. You're in a community with other Black women. So you can turn down that brain. You can start planning. What are all your plans, your different options? And you can use that judgment or organization to help you if you're at the job and you're trying to transition out, or if you've already left the job for whatever reason, to help you get your plans in place. Again, this is really to help us get our plans in place. No, I don't care where you are in the world. You need to have your plans in place.
Oh, yes.
You need to be ready. You need to be ready. Okay.
Seriously. We have to remain financially nimble and or get financially nimble. If you are a male person, I'm sure there's a female in your life that you could gift a ticket to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you can skulk around in the background and listen in
right
on grown folk talk. That's what you can do. Because I know our men are like, it's always Black women, because that's what we do. That's what we do, right? We save the world even when we ain't trying to.
Right.
Even
and
when we're not trying to.
We have to say, and not to preclude Black men, right? But also as Black women, because we are often giving ourselves all the time to everybody else, all the time with the saviors. We're doing all these things. We have to save ourselves first, right? We have to save ourselves first before we can help anybody else. So how do we prioritize ourselves, and how do we invest in ourselves by coming to the summit, right? So let us not shut it down with, oh, I'm too busy. Okay, got it, sis. It's recorded. You can watch it later. Oh, well, they're not going to talk about replacing income. We're going to have multiple sessions about replacing your income. So when you go into the automatic fear shutdown response, lean into, why am I shutting this down? Why am I saying I can't? Then, well, why not? Why can't I do this? Why can't I? Why can't I explore options that are available to me? And nobody's saying to you, once you come to the summit, you got to resign the next day. Nobody is saying that to you. This is on your own terms, having your plans in place so that when you are ready to pivot, that you are able to pivot in that power, but knowing that you are in a community with other Black women to support you in doing so.
Yeah, exactly. And, if you find that your initial response is, oh, I don't want to do that, then you probably are the one who really needs to do it.
Right. That's the uncomfortable moment, right? The stepping on toes right here, right? Like, oh,
exactly.
You stepping on toes. Yes, we're stepping on toes. But Stephanie interviewed me yesterday, and I said, we're lovingly calling in Black women. We're lovingly calling in. This is not a fun thing. It's a difficult thing, but this is to get information, because we don't want you out there. The other thing is that you're in a community with other Black women who are in a similar situation. So it's not like you're alone or there's something wrong with you. No, we're here to pour into you, but staying stuck is not going to help your situation.
No.
No, it's definitely not the way to go. Tammy says, after I got laid off, I started a side hustle, which helped me feel more in control. Yep. However, I let that get way out of control, where I was overworking and running myself out with the side hustle too. It's easy to do.
Boundaries. You said boundaries no matter who you're working for. Okay. Boundaries is very important, but also there's a degree of liberation when you know that you're able to make money on your own terms, right? Yes. So Libria Jones is going to be talking about like remote work. What does that look like? You talked about if you don't have to go into a brick and mortar, that can help decrease the stress level too, right? So some Black women want to go into another job, and we talk about how to do that. Some Black women want side hustles. We talk about how to do that during the summit. Some Black women are like, I'm done with these jobs. Like, tell me how to make my own money. we got stuff for you at the summit too. So again, it's for all Black women, no matter where you want to end up. But again, how do you find ways to make money so you can live the life that you want to live?
Yeah, yeah. And then the other thing with that, one of the things in our side hustle challenge that we'll be talking about is how to use AI and automation to do a lot of the administrative things that keep you busy doing the unfun parts about the side hustle.
Yes.
Right. And so there's all these tools out there that are available that can help you not transfer that overworkness from making somebody else rich to tiring yourself out and making yourself sick. 3D says, I'm late to the party. I need to be a part of the next side hustle challenge so bad. All right. I have no other job ideas. I desire to move abroad. I appreciate y'all. Straight out of Colorado. Denver in the house. We've helped, I want to say 2 families move from Colorado.
Ooh.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And trippy enough, Adelia's roommate, Ivana, is from Denver, Colorado.
She is. Okay.
She is. And so I had a picture of me and Senator Cory Booker at this small fundraiser in a backyard in Denver. And I could have sworn this lady who was standing like in the background was Ivana. And so Adele was looking, we pull it up again. I don't think that's her. And it's kind of blurry. So I was like, but it could be her. I think our paths have crossed. So she's so young, but still. I hung out with younger people because they teach me so much. All right. There are 4 books that changed how I thought about work: Your Money or Your Life, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The 4-Hour Work Week, and Stop Working, Start Living.
Ooh.
So I've read 2 of those. And I think I just gave away The 4-Hour Work Week. But that did change. Yeah. There are a bunch of great books out there. But I think the biggest thing is understanding your money. If you don't understand your money, if you don't know exactly where every single penny is going, if you have not assigned a job to every single dollar you earn, then money is probably just floating away and you have no idea. And which could be one of the reasons why you're not financially in the place that you want to be.
Yeah. And a big portion of that too is mindset.
Absolutely.
Most of that stuff deals with a whole lot of, how you have to change the way you think, period. Because if you're thinking about going to work every day and working for somebody else all the time, you can't think of anything different.
Right.
And you won't take the chance on yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And I have to say, y'all, for those of you who have been following us since we've had, 1, 2, 300 subscribers, and there's some of you who are watching tonight who've been with us that long, we love you. You know who you are. We saved 2 years living expenses. When we left, before we left the United States, we made sure we had 2 years living expenses so that I could not have the stress that some of y'all are talking about, right? Here we are 3 years later, and we still have over 2 years living expenses in the bank, and we have not touched any of our investments. And we have rehabbed the condo from the rooter to the tutor. Everything in there is new. That's a 1-bedroom, but still, it's a big 1-bedroom and everything in there is new. And we still have over 2 years living expenses. And I say that to say sometimes, y'all, Black folks tend to be people of faith. All right. When you have your plan, trust your plan, and the rest of it has to be faith. And it is amazing that when you have that faith and you walk in it and you're like, okay, I know how to create money. And money just comes. Rick used to say, girl, shut up. There's a check in the mail.
There may be a check in the mail, for real.
Because money just comes to us. because
And I
money just comes to us.
And I think that's too, like, I just think it's like just the universe or spiritual divine or something. So that when we release, right? So many times we're at these jobs and we're fighting, like daily, we're fighting, right? So like this, we're fighting, right? But when you release, right? I release this toxicity, I release to what are the different options available to me. I surrender to God about, will you lead me where I'm going to go? The money does come. I'm telling you, it does. Like I released, right? I had the one job, so-called good job with the good benefits, one form of income, one stream of income, right? I resigned. I started making multiple streams of income, hands open. Now, all of these opportunities are coming to me I never could have envisioned. And it may be hard to believe, but I'm glad you said that. Once you release and open your hands up, things will start coming your way. You have mental blocks when you're like, oh no, it has to be this way. It has to be this way. Mental blocks. Now you're preventing any other opportunity to come your way.
Exactly.
Right? Open yourself up.
Exactly. And it's absolutely true. I'm putting the Job Liberation Summit link in the description below again. This is my link, our link. So we get credit if you use our link. So I'm putting that in again. I know that Action VJ went over to the website and grabbed their link, which we thank you, Action. We thank you. I just put in our Black Utopia's link again in the chat. So I want to wrap this up. I don't want to be on too long. And I'm just going to look to make sure we don't have, if you guys have a burning question that you want to ask, I want to leave you with this. Because I said when staying put might be riskier than you think, y'all. If you believe that the opportunities that are available today will always be there, it is just that it is a belief. It is not fact.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I hope and I pray that the white folks save that democracy. But it is not guaranteed. And I don't think they're feeling the pain enough, right? Every major effort that I've seen so far has been done by people who look like us. Mm-hmm. And that has not been on the front lines because we're not doing that anymore. We are not putting our bodies in harm's way. But here's the thing, y'all. We don't want you to get stuck. And so when you're talking about, I'm going to stick around for 3 more years till I get this full retirement benefit and this and that and the other, you're assuming that the ability for you to be able to leave the country 3 years from now is still going to exist as it does today.
Right. And what state of mind are you going to be in? So are you going to be so broken physically and or psychologically? Think about the quality of your life during that time period.
That part too. Because look, one thing I got to give the United States credit for is ADA. American Disabilities Act. Look, ADA does not exist all over the world, y'all.
No, it doesn't.
ADA accommodations does not. That is an American thing. That is an American thing. So we say that to say, how much more broken is your body going to be 3 years from now?
True.
Right? Do you when we were in Italy, it was interesting seeing, the people trying to navigate them old cobblestone streets around the Colosseum and this and that with canes and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, so I hope this is not your first time. Right? I hope this is not your first time seeing it. And you don't really even have the strength to see it in its entirety. Right? Because your body is broken down. We don't want that for you.
Yeah.
We do not want that for you. Now, the power structure in America wants that for you. They will work you until you die. Like the lady that unfortunately transitioned on at her cubicle, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they will do. But while the melon felons people are talking about not giving any more passports out because everybody done canceled their vacation and they want Americans to have their vacation in America, in the land of the free. Right? And so they're canceling passports. They're already firing half the folks. So that's going to slow down things as it is. And we've been saying this and we've been saying this. He does not have to change the laws to prevent you from getting a visa to another country. All he has to do is talk to the ambassadors and say, only approve 10%.
Slow it down.
Wow.
Okay? And if you believe, I hope there's nobody watching right now. It's like, oh, that'll never happen. I hope you're not saying that kind of nonsense anymore.
Right.
And they do this in other countries. They do this in other dictatorships where they want to control the movements of their people because they know if given the chance, folks gonna leave. So they don't have to. They do not have to change the laws. He does not have to get Congress's approval. All he has to do is do the same kind of nonsense that he has done already, where people are being disappeared off the streets and they are not being deported. They are being kidnapped and human trafficked to other countries. That's what's happening. And if we think that we as folks from formerly enslaved folks, because we've been here 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 generations, that we are somehow protected. No due process is no due process.
Right.
So I don't know, Dr. Kimani, are you Haitian? Are you eating them cats and dogs? Right? Halisi, you Jamaican? Right? What you doing? You into that hoodoo voodoo? What you doing? Right? That's all they have to do. Oh, you're not Haitian? Oh, you're not Jamaican? Prove it.
Right. Right.
People have shown up at the courts with their birth certificates, and the judge is like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. What do you mean? How is ICE? There's the birth certificate. This is a American citizen, and what are you talking about? You cannot deport an American citizen.
Right.
Oh, but I guess you can now. All right. So all of you who are watching think that you have all of this time, that your original plan, okay, in 2032, I'm going to move to Portugal. No, you're not. They might not even allow you, like Portugal may not even allow you to move in 2032. Right. Just since we have been investigating Portugal from the beginning of the pandemic to now, 2 major things have changed. 3 major things have changed. So the first thing is all of a sudden you got to have a 1-year lease before you even apply.
Wow.
Okay, that's huge. That's huge. The other stuff wasn't that big of a deal, but that's huge. That means you're paying for an apartment and you are committed to paying for at least 4 months, and you don't even know if you're going to get a yes.
Right.
Okay.
Ooh.
The second thing is that the golden visas for real estate and stuff went away. The third thing is the non-habitual tax residency program basically went away. When we were investigating, the amount of taxes you had to pay for 10 years was going to be
0.
We got in under the 10%. But now you just pay what it's the same as regular Portuguese citizens, what they pay. Even though we're required to have private health insurance. And we are required to subsidize and not be on their public. We have access to it. As soon as you become a legal resident, we have access to the public healthcare system, but we are still required to maintain private health insurance for the whole time that we are temporary residents.
But it's affordable.
It's affordable.
More affordable.
Well, yeah, it's affordable.
$100 for both of you guys a month?
$180 for both of us.
Ooh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's affordable, right? And we're of a certain age, and we've got pre-existing, all the right. So yeah, everything what is true today is not necessarily going to be true tomorrow, y'all.
Right.
And so one of the reasons why there's this sense of urgency, one of the reasons why we want you to get healed so that you can have the energy to create those other streams of income is because we want you to have choices.
Yes.
We want you to have choices. And if your choice is not to be in America indefinitely, then you've got to move more quickly. And don't relax and think that what is going on now in America is business as usual. Oh, it don't matter who. Yes, it does. The president usually does not create a lot of great things in your life because it's so far removed, but they sure can F it up. and they can F it up more quickly than they can provide the good stuff. And we're seeing that.
So true. So true.
And we're seeing
Don't avoid these kind of conversations. Don't
No.
avoid it. It's not going to help you. Yes, these are scary times, but this is real talk. This is not makeup. This is not people like, oh, this is really happening. So we need to get prepared. Do not avoid it. It's going to make it worse. When you're not aware of, you're not planning, then you get thrown off guard. It's always good to be prepared and be ready for whatever may happen.
and to be in community, as Cassandra
Yeah,
said.
so
Right?
true.
So
true.
whether that is Dr. Kimani's community, whether that is, it doesn't have to be just one, whether that is our Black Utopia, if it's the job liberation folks, as well as Lift as We Climb community and our Black Utopia and whomever else, all of the folks who are trying to do similar things, be in community and let us lift each other up.
Yes.
That's what we do. And that's what we do best. And we always have. We always have. When those bus boycotts happened, right? Back in the 50s and 60s, y'all, most of you guys are too young to remember, and I don't remember either. I wasn't born. But I did read. They did that for a year, y'all. A year of not being, of walking to work, of carpooling, of figuring it out and making it work. And we came together as a community and we did the damn thing. We did the damn thing. And we can do that again this time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how we do it. We might not all be in the same city or even in the same country, but we can build community using these new tools and make sure that each one is reaching back, right? Each one of us is reaching back. Okay, who can I bring with me?
Absolutely.
Who can I bring with me?
That's how we're going to survive, but we're going to thrive as Black people. We will. We will thrive. But it means we need to make some changes too. We need to be active about it.
Exactly. We cannot sit back. Allison says, I remember when my job asked if anyone wanted to work overtime to help them catch up. And I said I would. They turned me down. I no longer offer my free time. Well, that was a fool.
You don't give my free time. No. You don't pay for my time. You're going to pay for my time.
Right.
And you have to be mindful again of the boundaries, right? So even if they say, you have to think, okay, they want me to give my free time. Why would I do that? Am I making money from this? And do I have a limit on how much of my free time am I going to get? And how much of my time I'm going to give up, right? One of my dear friends, who is my Spelman sister, Dr. Monica Cox, she said, we don't own the plantations. So if we don't own the plantations, you don't own the job. So why are you giving all your time to the job? We don't own it. Right.
So I was actually, my job before I went into politics was to make sure that everybody at the job owned it. That's what I did. It's called employee ownership.
Oh, wow.
And so my job was to help companies transition from privately held, maybe even corporately held, family owned, whatever, to employee owned. So yeah, you would own in that case, you would own it. You would own a piece.
Now that's really transformational right there. Mm-hmm. And I see a comment in the chat. I want to see if I could speak to this just a moment, right? So this is the woman who was saying before that she got laid off. She had to, go back to work more full time. This conversation was causing her stress. And so she's saying that, she hears us, but the PTSD is real. My heart rate has risen. So I want to say to you, sis, I hear you. The PTSD absolutely is real. I know because I experienced it. It is absolutely real. The heart rate is normal. Pay attention to that and stop and pause in a moment about what can help you. So maybe watch this conversation in doses. So maybe not watch the full conversation, but maybe like pace yourself. Also think about what are the things that you could put in your life that are like your wellness plan, right? So what are you doing ongoing to help you mitigate the toxic stress that you're experiencing at that job? So you need an ongoing wellness plan, not just once a year vacation, daily. What are you doing? So maybe going outside, getting some vitamin D. That's a natural mood elevator. Are you moving your body? Free. natural mood elevator? Are you in therapy? What are the things that you have in place? So that, again, you're not shut down because you're in this PTSD trauma response. So you can be able to hear and receive information. So again, it might be pacing yourself with information. Don't avoid it completely, but it might be pacing yourself, but also incorporating wellness strategies in your life. Because I hear you. Pay attention to your body, but also start being very intentional about what are your wellness practices. Okay. So I just want to just acknowledge, I hear you, sis.
Another free thing that you can do that we don't do often enough is grounding. So go outside. If you've got a single family home, it's even easier because you can go in your backyard, right?
Yes.
Take your shoes off and have your feet on the earth, not on concrete, but in sand at the beach if you've got that privilege, some grass, whatever in your backyard, front yard, even at the park. I know, but see, God provided everything that we need to heal ourselves. And it may sound crazy, but this is documented scientific research. It changes your physiology.
Yes. It's a connection, it's a grounding to the earth, right? So you have that tactile sensation, but also symbolically, it's a grounding to our ancestors and to remind us of what our ancestors have gone through. And I would say that our ancestors have sacrificed so much that they don't want us to suffer right now. So how do we get that connection from them, build upon them, but also what are the things we can put in our place so we don't have to live the life that they did? We don't have to repeat the same things that they did because they sacrificed so much for us to be here right now.
Exactly. All right. I think we have, let me see if there's any other ones that we need to get to. The proposed budget is gutting federal employees' benefits. Yep, majorly, along with so many Medicaid and social programs used during retirement. Yep, what's being done to get the word out? So we're not a political channel, although you wouldn't know it sometimes to listen to me. But I mean, we're getting the word out. But people, I think that we don't have the luxury to ask to be spoon-fed information when literally the sky is falling.
Literally.
We got this, right? It really is. I mean, you've got, and it'll be interesting to see when we get off if Senator Booker and Hakeem Jeffries, Leader Jeffries, are still out on those Capitol steps, getting into good trouble. They've been out there since 6 a.m. Eastern time, trying to bring attention to this. But I think you have to be willfully ignorant to not know what's going on.
Right.
And oh my gosh, all the new members, y'all are just so great. Karen Louise, new member. Thank you. It's Antonia, thank you. Ailey, thank you. T. Martin, thank you. You all are amazing, and we love you. You all know that. It's kind of blowing up back there.
What you said, Halisi, you said this is not a political channel. We need to be politically aware. Okay. Yes. So we can't, skirt around stuff. So these political conversations, it's going to impact our money, our sanity, our well-being. So we need to talk, we need to be aware politically. So I appreciate what you're doing. The other thing is we have to be mindful of, we are in an age of chaos and confusion. That is a tactic to activate our amygdala, right? So now we're in survival mode constantly. There's new news every single day. There's some crazy stuff that happens. So how do we have boundaries with how much information we ingest? So does that mean, okay, maybe there's certain news adjacent things that I watch. I watch Don Lemon too, right? So that's how I get my news. I don't watch the corporate media. I don't watch that. But it's a way to kind of keep me informed. I watch Karen Hunter. So what are the ways I can still be informed about what's happening? I'm not going to avoid it because I need to know what's happening. Stay informed, but don't get overly consumed, because when you do that, now you kind of you feel so helpless and you're wrapped up in the chaos and confusion. We want
Yeah.
you to stay informed, but we also want you to plan in accordance with the information that's coming out too.
Exactly. And everything is politics.
Absolutely. So true.
Everything is politics. I never want to hear somebody say, I don't do politics. Because as a Black person, first of all, politics is definitely going to do you. And so it doesn't really matter, like whether it is the ability to move to a foreign country, whether you're going to be drinking clean water and breathing clean air, what kind of tennis shoes you get to buy, what is contained in that, what kind of fake hair do you get to buy, and what toxins are in that.
Right.
And everything in between. What's in our food? Where do our kids get to go to school? Who's going to be teaching them? What are they going to learn? Everything is politics. Everything. There was a time when when Black people were not allowed to invest in the stock market. Everything's politics.
Yeah.
And we don't get the privilege of not, they're still out there. We don't get the privilege of not paying attention. But we still have to protect our soul, our spirit, our psyche, and our physical health.
True. Absolutely.
Right. And know that one voice, y'all, one voice. Do never, ever, ever see. That's the trick of the enemy. They want you to think that you're powerless.
Exactly.
They want you to think that you're powerless. But if we are created in the image of God, and God said, and there was, then we say, and there will be. Either you believe it or you don't. One voice can change the room. And if one voice can change the room, then it can change a city. Then it can change a state, and it can change a country, and one voice can change the world. So never think that you are not powerful, because you are powerful. All right. And I think that's a good place to stop.
I think so. I want to say thank you so much to Halisi and Rick for allowing me to be on your platform and share about so many different things, but particularly to talk about the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women, again, May 16th. So again, check it out. Halisi is one of our phenomenal speakers. And also I invite Black women, if you are watching this channel, please check out my YouTube channel as well, which is Lifting As We Climb Consulting Wellness Services. I come on every Sunday with a different Black woman guest to talk about experiences in a toxic job, but also the healing and the pivoting once you leave a toxic job.
Yes. Because it doesn't happen overnight. Lord knows. I was like 119 pounds and losing my hair when I retired. So yeah, there's no way that a 50-plus-year-old who's my height should be that weight.
Wow.
Right. And I couldn't eat. I was sick all the time and stressed the hell out. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So if you have more questions, on how to heal from these jobs, Dr. Kimani just gave you her information. We will make sure that information is included in the description below. Do me a favor and drop that in the private chat, Dr. Kimani. I want to make sure. I don't think I asked you before. So we will put that, if you're watching from the future, hey. I hope the future is great. If you need more help getting your money straight, we offer one-on-one coaching. Y'all know that information is in the description below. And we also have our not ready to retire toolkit. We've got that too, but our Beyond the Bling, which is our financial independence program for late bloomers. That comes with monthly group coaching. We meet every second Saturday of the month at 12 noon Eastern time. So you're not in this alone. There is a community that can help you figure out all of this stuff with your money so that you don't have to feel stuck. All right. If you need help moving abroad, we can help you do that as well. We have the Move Abroad Toolkit, and we can also help you put together a plan via our one-on-one coaching. And so if you're coming to our meetup, yay. Y'all check your email. Check the email that you used for PayPal, okay? Because we have 70 people signed up, and there's only about 40 people in the WhatsApp group. So That means some of you are missing out on opportunities to meet other folks who are looking to try this live abroad thing, which for Americans is very unusual. So just by the fact that you're even thinking about it makes you exceptional. That makes you exceptional. So we love you. If you are a member and you are a utopian legend, I'm going to put out a post. We're inviting you on the channel every other Thursday. This Thursday would be one of those Thursdays. So I'll put out a post. Let us know if you can make it. Because if it can't nobody make it, we're still young here. Can't nobody make it, we ain't gonna do it. And we'll wait until we have more folks. But we said we were going to start in May. May starts Thursday. So this Thursday will be our first one. You can come on live and we're going to talk about the latest in financial and political news that will affect us in our life abroad and or trying to move abroad. So that's what we'll be doing every other Thursday.
And then every Sunday.
And then every Sunday before we go live, we chitty chat.
We chitty chat
with every single member. So if you are a member of this channel, look in the community tab and you'll see a post with the Zoom link. Please don't give that out. Please don't give that out. So that has the Zoom link and you guys can hang out with us before the live and chitty chat and talk about whatever. So it's building community is the unexpected advantage that I did not anticipate when we started this channel. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Dr. Kimani can tell you, we have friends all over the world now because of things like this. And this is one of the things that you just don't expect. That you just don't expect. And so it's definitely a good thing. If you've made it all the way to the end, drop a heart in the chat. If you're in the comments watching from the future, drop a heart in the comment. We love you. And we will see you on Thursday or next Sunday. Bye.
Bye, everyone.